I've been reading Betty Edwards' Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain for the past couple of months, and I'm really enjoying it. The premise of this book is to teach you to draw by teaching you some of the fundamental principles of seeing rather than just saying, oh, focusing more on the technique of things. It's really quite good. I'm enjoying it so far. When you get to page 12, there's a section here that talks about the materials that you need in order to actually complete the exercises presented in the book. And this is all fine. You can order these things online. But there are some instructions that let you know how to create some of these tools yourself if you wanted. The reason I'm making this video, though, is that there are some little interesting things about those instructions that are not quite clear, so I wanted to just clarify those. The first one is going to be about this tool here. This is going to be the picture plane. If you go through the book, it points out that you can improvise this with a sheet of glass or a thin sheet of plastic cut into an 8.5 by 11 inch size, but it doesn't really explain how it's going to be used and some of the properties that you need to have. So originally I started with this just thin plastic film that I got from somewhere, doesn't matter. And I cut it into the size and I thought, okay, great, everything's working. When you get to a certain point in the book, you have to sort of balance the picture plane on your hands in such a way. And my plastic was just too thin, too floppy, and it was making it very difficult to use. What I did to solve that then was went to the hardware store and got these little paint stirring sticks, cut them at a 45-degree miter, and then glued it together, and then stapled the plastic sheet on top. Another thing that you need to have for this picture plane is going to be the crosshair that bisects it in both directions. And you can use a permanent marker or any other sort of marking for that. That's the first thing. Next up is the viewfinder. This is going to be just a thin cardboard or thin cardstock cut into a sort of window shape. So this doesn't need to be rigid. It gets clipped onto the picture plane for all the exercises that I've done so far. But the problem that I have, and it probably is a little bit pedantic, are the precise instructions on how it's constructed. So I started this before, but the first step is to take your 8.5 by 11 inch paper, and I'm just using white for clarity here. Draw the diagonals from one corner to one corner. So far, so good. Then it indicates to draw a vertical line or a horizontal line 2 inches from the top and the bottom, like that, and then a vertical line 2 inches from either edge, like this. And the region that you're instructed to cut out is going to be where those vertical lines and the horizontal lines intersect, rather than on the diagonal. Or if you really read the book, it says that this line and this line are going to intersect at the diagonal, but because this is a rectangular piece of paper, it doesn't actually intersect that way. So my recommendation would be to just draw the verticals if you want, or just draw the horizontals, but don't draw both. Then wherever that line intersects with the diagonal, that's where you draw the vertical line. So one of these sets is going to be 2 inches from the top and the bottom, or from the left or the right. The other one is going to be either bigger or smaller than 2 inches. The next thing to talk about here is going to be your pencil selection. So in the book, it recommends that you get a number 2 pencil, which is just the regular standard yellow pencil that we should all be familiar with, and then a number 4 pencil, as well as a number 4 graphite stick. Okay. Now, if you go to the craft store, the art store, and you go into the pencil aisle, you're more than likely going to see these 4B and 6B and 4H and all this other sort of thing. And you may, like I did, assume that, well, 4B, that must be the same thing as number 4. Not quite. Number 4, as well as number 2 and 2.5 and 3, are all going to be the US system of measuring the graphite hardness, whereas the 4B and the 4H and 6H and all those numbers are going to be the European scale for graphite hardness. So a B pencil with a larger number is going to be softer than an H pencil, right? H is going to be harder. And when you have a H pencil, the harder the pencil, the lighter that it marks on the page. The softer the pencil, the darker it marks on the page. So a number 4 pencil is going to equate to be a 2H in the European scale. So I ended up getting the wrong graphite sticks because of that. That's something that I probably could have looked up, but in the moment, just standing in the store, I didn't know what the differences were, so I just went with what I assumed was correct. But other than that, small little gripes there. Really enjoying the book otherwise. Just little helpful things there. When I was setting up my tools, I didn't find any video online to explain this, so hopefully this helps you out. Sip of coffee.